What's happening, y'all? We're back for another book review on the channel, and today we have the first of the mini Discworld novels by the late great Terry Pratchett, and that is The Color of Magic. I feel like we can't get into the plot without kind of just giving a premise and the concept for Discworld. So Discworld is a world like ours, but vastly different. The world is a disc on the back of 4 elephants, which stand upon a turtle, which is hurtling through space. And its setup is the whole concept of the series is it's very absurd and it's very whimsical. And I will say, before I ever entered this novel or this series, I had heard some mixed things about the early books. There's so many books in the series that you can find something that you like and something that really is going to stick with you. But I will say, prior to reading this book, I had heard a lot of not great things about the first in the series. I've heard it's one of those that you need to read the other ones and then read it later, once you kind of understand and you find what you like in Discworld. So there's that disclaimer before we get into it. So this, The Color of Magic, it follows Rincewind, who is a inept wizard. He's not great at what he does, and he is acting as a tour guide for Two Flower, who is one of Discworld's first tourists. So Two Flower comes in with more money than he knows what to do with in terms of the Discworld, but he's just kind of an average Joe who thought he could be there for a couple months, according to his. He just wanted to go on adventure and see all the wildness and the heroes and adventures that Discworld had to offer. So it's very whimsical. Two Flower is just wanting to see all the craziness. So a lot of the things, like he wants to see bar fights, he wants to see crooks, criminals, he wants to see the grittiness of the world, and just dragons, anything you can imagine that he, like, things that most people would avoid at all cost. He's like, I want to see it, I gotta take pictures of it. Like, he's just goofy, and it makes it a lot of fun as you go throughout the book. So, and like I said, Rincewind is kind of just following, or kind of showing him along, showing him things that are vastly different from his world. But what I will say, like plot-wise, is that it's pretty hard to follow, or at least it was for me. I felt like a lot of times I was lost. I don't feel like there was a clear and distinct plot that was at all times kind of being followed, and they're like the threads were being pulled along. I felt like it was just kind of following these 2 characters and just kind of seeing what they did. And that was really how most of the story is. So it's kind of broken into like 4 separate adventures that they go on throughout this like time together. And I don't know, it was something I wasn't crazy about. Just the way the story was set up and what was going on. I felt like, I don't know, personally, I'm a plot person. Like, I want to have a plot that's getting driven along by the characters. So if I'm not hooked in by something else, like the characters or just something about the world, then it's a lot harder for me to read a book like this. So I wasn't crazy about it, but that doesn't mean there wasn't anything in it that I loved. I thought Terry Pratchett wrote some hilarious scenes and just is so funny with dialogue and just witty and just general world building stuff. Like, it's just such a back-asswards world that it's just, you can't help but just giggle sometimes. There's one scene in particular and one like reoccurring joke that just, it cracks me up and I still laugh about it. And that's when Two Flowers trying to describe what he does for a living where he's from, and just hearing the characters say it and hearing him like explain what it is just so funny, because it's something that we all know and we just accept for like what it is. But in this fantasy world, it's like such a foreign concept that they just have no idea, and it's a lot of fun. And I still kind of laugh when I think about that specific scene and that specific joke, which I think is really what this series is about. It's kind of leaving those little things with you. It points out the absurdity of our world. But all in all, this was not a great first outing for me in the Discworld novels, which, I don't know. This wasn't something that I was crazy about. I feel like I read a lot of great books, a lot of great fantasy books lately, and I don't feel like this I feel like it kind of just was not what I was looking for in the moment. But like I said, this is a series I'm going to be returning to for sure. I already have more, which I've heard is some of Pratchett's best work in the Discworld series, which, like I said, it's one of those things that I had heard before reading this book, thankfully, that it's just, there's so many books that it's not going to be for everyone. And it might be a book that I read later down the road after I read some other Discworld novels, and I kind of understand the world and understand what's going on more. So, I don't know, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's got its good, it's got its bad, but it's definitely something that I'm glad I checked out. For other people, I would recommend you start somewhere else in the Discworld novel. Kind of look up, see what kind of stories are being told, and start elsewhere, because it's not like a linear series that you have to read in order. So there's so many different like stories and intertwining characters that you can start elsewhere. I've heard more, and there's a detective, I'm not 100% sure of his name, but I've heard those two characters and their stories are excellent. But this one didn't do it for me, but that doesn't mean that it may not do it for you. So, like I said, check out some of the other Discworld novels before you come to the Color of Magic. And that's all I got for y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. But until then, stay reading, y'all.